I'm the first one to try to say a little bit about Mike, but don't count on me to get through this. Start out, I don't know if I'll get through this, but Mike was always my favorite brother. When I was growing up, so much so, I named my only child after him, as you all know. Now, not to hurt any feelings, all my brothers are my favorite in some way, and my sisters too. I felt close to Mike, hanging out, listening to music up in his bedroom with Kev, my other brother from another mother, watching his baseball and softball games and doing what siblings do. Mostly we fought, but I don't remember ever getting in a fight with Mike or having harsh words. That was you, yeah. I was proud to be his sister. I admired his handsomeness, and so did all my friends. His wit, his brains, generosity, and ability to be fair. I will miss him dearly, as we all will. And I'm glad he was able to show me his car, his Mercedes, before he passed away. Thank you, Barb and Kevin, for letting me participate in honoring our brother. So that's it.
I didn't write this down because I wanted to kind of shoot from the hip, but I looked up to my brother Mike from when I was very young, and anybody who, when they're growing up, they're looking up to an older brother, older sister, whatever. Mike was the one I related to the most. He had, when I was young, he would play baseball with me. He would do a lot of things with me to engage me, and I was even his. When he was doing wrestling, I was his, test or his who he tested his wrestling on. So I learned how to avoid a pin, but not until after many times of being crushed. I had a funny story about Mike when I also was his slave from time to time, and because as a little brother, it's like, hey, go get me this and go do this for me, and sometimes I'd be rebellious and I'd be like, no, get it yourself, and he would say, okay, that's fine. Let me write this down. Mark wouldn't get me a glass of cola, and I'm gonna put this in my wallet, and I'll remember this, and I'm like, Mike, come on, So yeah, he had a way about him with that, but to get you to do what he wanted you to do. But Mike, I love my brother, and I really looked up to him. I had him for my confirmation, confirmation. So I picked up his name. My name is Mark Matthew Moser, but with my confirmation, I'm Mark Matthew Michael Moser. So I did pick up his name, and he was also the best man at my wedding, and I chose wisely. I remember that day was raining when we were getting ready to go to the wedding, and he came to pick me up, and he said, "Don't worry, rain. This is good luck. This is actually really good luck for you." And I'm like, "Oh, this is horrible." And we got to the church, and the clouds opened up, and the sun came out, and it was a beautiful day. So I, always appreciated him. He really loved his family. I mean, not only his immediate family of his wife and his son, but his brothers and sisters, he really loved them, and my mom, my dad, you could see it in everything that he did with them. Even when he got mad at me, like when I showed up with my taxes on April 12th, which was fairly frequent. I think he got to the point where he was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to put an extension in for you. That's about all you're going to get out of me. But even if he ever got mad at me, he turned around and he was just very generous and very kind afterward. So I always looked up to him. I'm going to miss him. I wish I had spent more time with him, but we all get on with our lives, and my own kids and my grandkids, and you go through your life, and things happen fast, and so I wish I would have spent more time with him, and I do miss him already, and I will miss him. But he was a very good man, and like I said, he was really kind and generous, and he loved his family, and he will be dearly missed.
Get in here. Where do I put my things?
Storage maxed out, so I ran out of storage space.
Yeah, mine's still going.
How this? Can you hear me?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I am not related to Mike Moser by blood in any way. I never wrestled with him either. I want to thank Barb and Kevin for giving me the opportunity to speak about Mike tonight. My name is Jeremiah Enright, and Mike was a friend of mine for years, which is superfluous because he was a friend of everybody here, of course. I first met Mike Moser when I was 14 years of age, and I had orders from the U.S. Army to go to the other side of the world. And I was walking down the street, and this kid walked out from a house on North Dunton, probably that Moser house. It was overflowing with kids. And he walked up to me and he said, so, you're Jerry Enright, right? And I said, that's my name. And he must have known me from my brother Jim, who's been his friend for 50 years. They were schoolmates. And Mike Moser introduced himself and he said, so he asked me the existential question, the question of survival. He said, what are you going to do when you're faced with life or death, fight or flight? What are you going to do? And I didn't have an answer for him. But I marked him as a kid, a sensitive, thoughtful kid as I walked away. And I said, who wouldn't like a kid like this? And I always remember that this was 1968 when he was 14. I never saw Mike again until 1986, 85, maybe 86. I moved back to Chicago, and I probably reconnected with him at Arlington Park through my brother Jim Enright, who I think I may have said already, he flew in from San Francisco today for this gathering tonight. And at that time, he was probably with Benny, Mike Cleveland, Worm, Chink, Cernich, Tree Bat, Gary Bronsruder for sure, Big Head Joe Evans for sure, all of Mike's old friends. Joe Bianco, who's here tonight, came in from Colorado. They were probably all there at that time. And Mike and I, like I said, reconnected, and he was smart, and he was generous, and he was funny, and he liked to laugh, and who doesn't like a dude like that? Yeah. So Mike an accountant, became my accountant, my mob accountant. He did amazing things with my taxes. God bless him is right. And he and I scheduled regular business meetings at Eddie's Lounge and Bill's Tavern and the Vale Lounge and Bella and Mrs. P's and Chin's and Arlington Gardens and Murphy's for lunch and Jimmy's Red Hots for lunch and the Tin Man and Lamplighters and all these places where we could go and have business meetings until last call and put it on our expense account. Sometimes we'd end up in his basement in that little office with a refrigerator, a canned Budweiser next to us, with every incarnation of a Warren Spahn picture or baseball card looking at us. This was his favorite player of all time. But one time, some years earlier, Mike and I were in a bar. Mike loved bars. How can you not hang out with a dude like that? I love bars. But Mike was contemplative. He was pensive. There was some preoccupation in his eyes. And I said, "What's going on, man?" And he was a young accountant executive working in a tall building in Chicago. And I don't know if you remember, and it just could be the bar light perhaps, but you really couldn't see the difference in the color between the irises of Mike's eyes and his pupils. And that olive skin and that black hair he had like a briar patch that covered his head and his chin. Okay, and he said, "There's a girl working in my office. I do not remember the name from those days, but I know her now and she's here tonight." And he wanted to meet her. He wanted to talk to her. He wanted to charm her on a date and take her out. Now, I couldn't really help him because I don't really know about those kind of things. And I think what he did was he said, "I'm going to put on my best suit." Maybe he bought a new suit and he shined his shoes and he starched his shirt, put a tie on to finish that ensemble, and he went in and he charmed that girl and he got a date. Her name was Barb. Little did he know that she was a tireless worker. Little did he know that she was the kitchen craft person of life and decorator and generous and loving, and she was a collector just like him. How could he not love that girl? Why would you not pursue a mate like that? And they went out. And they went out again, and they went out again, and then there were wedding bells ringing. I don't remember much about the ceremony. I'm sure some of you were there. I think it was at a church near the Twin Anchors Rib Restaurant. But I'm telling you, the party was on a ship in Lake Michigan, Star of Chicago or something, this gleaming white ship. And it doesn't matter on that day if the sun was out or not, because when you walked up the steps onto that deck, the hot light was coming from the newly minted Mr. and Mrs. Mike Moser. And Barb was there. The sun was gleaming off her red hair. Those big, loving doe eyes were looking to the future. She had that beautiful dress on and then that 80s headband thing, that LeBron thing going on, right? You saw it in the pictures tonight. And then Mike was next to her, adoring her. In his white tuxedo, he had that arboreal forest that grows on the North Pole of his body, completely landscaped. He looked just great. And as the years went by, they had this kid, this boy named Kevin. Oh no, he's a good boy, and he's a friend of mine now. And he has inherited the best traits, attributes of his parents. He is a gentle, soft-spoken soul with a work ethic. And who couldn't love a boy like that? Kevin, your dad loved you so very much. And I know that he's sitting right over there on Barb's lap in that seat with that cold beer in a cooler cup sitting in front of him going, yup. And we're here tonight to celebrate the life of Mike Moser, our dear friend, gentleman rest in peace. Hear, hear.
Hey, got it.
Outstanding. That was great. That was absolutely
Oh, thanks.
Well done. Well done.
Do you want to cut through? Sorry.
Mickey, well done, Jeremiah, awesome, awesome. That's a bright light. And I'm an old man. So, like many of you, and like Mickey said, I'm gonna have a little trouble, so Dan can chip in here. All right, one more time. Like many of you, I'm profoundly stunned and saddened by the shocking news of Mike's passing. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Where did you go, Mike? Why did you leave us all so quickly and so very, very far too soon? I met Mike in first grade at St. James under the Russian dictatorship of Mrs. Vladimir Servin. If anybody knows Vladimir Servin. Never saw her ride a horse with her top off, but I'll tell you what. I think she did that.
Still in California.
We remained friends for the next 58 years. I did. I flunked. But anyway, Mike was like a brother to me, and I to him. I ask you all to get comfortable now and as I take you through the next 58 years of our existence, great detail. In the early years, shortly after the diapers, Mike and I had countless sleepovers. We were just that inseparable. We would hang out and then just figure out, hey, there's more opportunity here. Let's have a sleepover. So we did that a lot. And we philosophized about all things. We achieved great success in figuring out all the great mysteries of life. If anybody ever talked with Mike about anything about life, it's from those moments that came. So I'm just here to tell you. Mike loved God. Mike believed in the afterlife. And as others have said before, he loved his parents, particularly his father. I remember him telling me about his father's passing not all that long ago. And he was telling me, Kev, all I could do was he couldn't really see with the macular degeneration. So I just read him play-by-play of the World Series. He, of course, died near that time. So I just thought that was so amazing. He loved his siblings. And I know that's been said, and he did. He loved his siblings, and he would do anything for his siblings. Mike also enjoyed a vast and varied array of friendships. He was there for them to listen and offer sound advice if you asked for it, or if he felt you needed it. Sometimes you would ask Mike about something, and he would go, "Ha! And he would go, oh shit, I'm screwed. And then he would go, you're asking me? You're stupid. But the next words that came out of his mouth were some of the most amazing sound advice words that you could find anywhere on this planet. And again, I reflect back to that sleepover situation where we were always figuring things out. So he did a good job. We did a good job. Mike was never one to back down from his beliefs and principles. At times, this could get him into trouble, such as the time he came home with a broken jaw. And it was delivered to him by a guy like twice his size and twice as muscular. But Mike wouldn't back down. Mike knew he was right. He knew what he was talking about. And that guy, if I was anywhere near the size of beating him up, I would have done it. But I can't do that, Mike. In 1971, my father accepted a job in Huntsville, Alabama. 1971. Okay, that's a bit of a tricky situation down there. So I was devastated. I did not want to leave the area and network of my friends. When I told Mike the news, he simply said, "You're not going." I said, "What are you talking about? How am I not going? Am I going to live on the street?" He said, "No, you're living with me and my parents, and I'll work it out." And he did. He convinced his parents, and then he came with me.
Doing well.
My life would be different without that. I convinced mine. At the ripe old age of 17, I moved into a household of 10 people. That was Mike. So that was Mike. Mike did that. He did that for me. He would give you the shirt off his back, and he did so many times. A couple of years later, Mike and I moved out to Colorado to go to school, or to see God, depending on your perspective. We moved into a house with Joe Corsadina, he's here, who previously moved out a year earlier. Mike, Joe, and I, at that point forward, perhaps even earlier than that, were bonded together forever. Father, son, wedding. The Colorado experience, well, first of all, the Colorado experience, the intentions were to go to school. So, yeah, okay, that didn't quite pan out. But I'll tell you what, we excelled at having fun. And the point, and at that point, school was clearly not the priority. After moving back to Illinois, we worked at a restaurant called Fiddler's, where we could drink free beer all night long. It was a truly fun. We never got drunk. Actually, it was really weird because we worked our asses up. We worked so hard that you would just kind of like sweat that out and just order another pitcher of beers, and it was poured out in front of you as you're cooking food. And you're like, oh, this job does not suck. Anyway, it was a fun experience. It was a great playground, in fact, and at the time, our nights began at 1 and then went into very early hours of the morning. It was quite fun. You would find all the bars that would stay open that night. Among other things, in our lives consisted of countless card games. How about it, Joe? pool halls, bar hopping, the racetrack. I'm sure you saw that video there. He was a big frequenter. You know, the Beatles were famous around our time. I feel like we influenced them. Led Zeppelin, Cat Stevens. Mike looked like Cat Stevens. We went to concerts. We did a lot of stuff. We had long hair. We had bell bottoms. Played a lot of baseball, softball, and yes, belching. The full alphabet. Mike exclusive. That got him kicked out of a bar at least once. I'm sure of that. You can't talk about Mike without mentioning his love for baseball. Mike was an exceptional baseball player. I only know so well. He was just that good. And one of the biggest disappointments to him and me, I shared his disappointment in life on that one, was not getting selected to play for his high school team. That was the biggest, hugest oversight of his life. Mike didn't let that bother him. He went on to do other things in private, Pop Warner leagues and show and excel as much as he did. Right, Joe? I mean, talk about that guy. He was just that good as a baseball player. He could pick a field. He could hit that ball in that field. He could catch a ball no matter where it was, anywhere around him. He knew the game inside and out. And I always was amazed. Somebody mentioned Warren Spahn. I go, Warren Spahn? Mike, couldn't you pick somebody like Brett or, some Warren? I mean, seriously, is that guy really a ball player? He was. I started researching him. That guy is amazing, and Mike knew that. He knew so much about that guy. He knew so much about many, many, many more guys. He was so in love with that sport. So somewhere, somehow, along the path of life, we finally realized it was time to get down to the business of real life. Yeah, we finally graduated from college. We got jobs, got married, and had kids. Mike was a skilled and accomplished accountant, CPA. Accounting was another one of Mike's passions. I mean, he would just talk about account balance sheets, and income statements, and closing statements. Shut up, Mike. I was also, so I mean, there was a limit. Mike had that passion. I saw. I mean, he was great at math all through grade school. His greatest teacher in grade school was Sister Valenta, and she was just really an excellent teacher, and she catapulted him to great mathematical genius that he was, and seventh grade. Check it out. Well, that, as far as I know, that is Sister Bone.
Yes.
Mike, well, yeah, she's spinning in that. She was a big woman too. Anyway, she's like Sister Mary Elephant. And then it really kicked in high school, and he said, "Oh, Jesus, this is like a field." And he knew immediately that's who he was going to be. He was going to be a CPA, and no questions about it. He was skilled and gifted and a very accomplished accountant, and so proud of him. Mike was also a loving, dearly loving and devoted husband and father to his wonderful wife, Barb, and his great son, Kevin. You both brought him great joy throughout all of his life. I was so happy when he found you, Barb. No, it at times was worrying me that Mike would never find his soulmate, and he did, and he was just full of joy with all of that. So that's awesome, and Jeremiah, you elaborated on it in such eloquence. So well done. Thank you. As life sped down its course through the years and amidst all that life's put in front of us, the friendship we had endured. We may not have seen each other as much as we had gotten older, but when we did, it was just like I had stepped out of the room and then had stepped back in, and we were talking like it nothing skipped a beat. It was just that flowing with us. Mike, I'm eternally grateful for your devout friendship, wisdom, and advice. I am deeply saddened, deeply heartbroken by your untimely passing. I will keep you and the memories recreated in my heart forever. Mike, I will think of you and miss you every day of my life. Sleep in peace, my dear friend and brother. And now, we love you, Mike. I would just like to just do a quick toast to Mike. To who? To Mike. Hold on a second. Let's raise our glasses, but you don't have to do it at this moment. Let's raise our glasses in a toast to Mike. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. We love you, Mike.
Love you, Mike.
I'm up here as a friend of Mike's, and I'm with a group of 7 or 8 good friends, also Mike's. We're 9 years younger than Mike. We're really good friends with Rick, Mike's younger brother, and we had a really unique opportunity to see Mike and get to know Mike. And it's nice to be here tonight to hear some of you reflect on your relationships with Mike, because of course, 9 years apart, we didn't know him, and this is going back, and some of us went to St. James and then St. Viator, so, but Mike was one of those unique brothers of a good friend of ours who, despite 9 years apart, had a really important influence on us. But as you hear you guys talk about your relationships with Mike and his family, there's really common threads: respect, laughter, and just genuine love. So thanks for having us here tonight, and here's to Mike.